Steph Curry is a four-time NBA champion, two-time regular season MVP, one of which is the historic Finals MVP, the best shooter in history, and the ultimate basketball revolutionary who overnight made our league turn into a completely different product from a tactical standpoint. It's all very cool, and you're gonna say, who doesn't know that? Why are you talking about it? I answer, time after time I have encountered inexplicable heat in the direction of this player, which I personally don't quite understand. The arguments used in attempts to belittle Chiefs' accomplishments are varied. Compressions to mastodons like LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, or Tim Duncan are regularly drawn to devalue everything Curry has done throughout his career. Few titles, Finals MVP, narrow specialization, limited clutch play, weak defense are just a small part of the arguments I've seen. And you know, in many ways the people who are talking about it are right. Yes, Curry really only has one Finals MVP title, unlike other legends who claim top 1 status. He does fall out of the true point guard category by emphasizing his shooting and off-ball play. His percentage and efficiency in clutch situations are quite debatable, and his defense simply can't be better than a certain ceiling. Except all of these talking points can be used both ways. Over the course of the video, I'll try to explain why Steph Curry and his weaknesses are the true paradox of modern basketball. I will explain why I think Curry is one of the greatest players in history and why his biography is a breath of fresh air and inspiration for most kids who are just starting to play basketball. Hello dear NBA fans, you're on Hook Talks channel. On the line as always, Ibra. And today we're going to talk about Steph Curry paradox as a contender for the top 10 greatest basketball players in history. Traditionally, I'm gonna ask you for your support. Likes and comments are the most important thing you can do for me. Let's start with the fact that Steph Curry's current dimensions cannot be called outstanding. Although his height is quite adequate for a classic point guard, it's much more modest for his offensive style. Steph has to be double or even triple guarded, like for example larger super scorers like Kevin Durant or Trey McGrady. It's also harder for him to isolate any other tall forwards, as elite personal defenders can block his air due to their physique and height. It would seem that with those parameters, how does one become a superstar, not just a pure shooter, but a true legend? It all started in high school. As a very young boy, Curry played for a team of young stars from Charlotte, and according to the memories of his basketball player, terribly complex because of his low height relative to other guys. When he was 15, he thought he would never grow up again, and his mother was forced to talk to doctors and psychologists to find out information regarding his late development. As a result, the young man with talent only grew to 180 centimeters before entering college. And even here, the biggest problem was something else. I've said it before on my broadcast, but I like to repeat it to a larger audience. Curry couldn't shoot three-pointers. No, he didn't. He could shoot them, but like a kid from his chest, from his belly. Steph literally couldn't make a three-pointer from the distance he now plays in the best league in the world. Shaq's father, Dell, spent an entire summer with him to change those mechanics, and it was sheer agony. The kid practiced every day, not making it to the ring, throwing bricks, exhausting himself to the point of exhaustion to finally reach his goal. The mechanics were pretty good, but that's a fact, and it certainly wasn't enough for a top college. Curry went to the modest Davidson University after all, and the start to NCAA play was very inconsistent. Like I said, things weren't going well. Curry couldn't find his game, not only in matches, but also in practice. He was dunking, losing balls, and the team was losing. If an experienced coach, Bob McKillop, who believed in the guy and gave him playing time until the very end. It's unclear how this story would have ended, as Curry gradually fumbled for size, as even his partners confirmed. He often made bad decisions, but in the end, it was Curry's talent that rallied an exciting Davidson University workforce that would later create success in team history, making some good noise in the NCAA March Madness. If you want to know more accurately, I suggest watching the Curry documentary Underrated. It's all detailed there. Later, the chef's development will be confirmed. He will grow to a satisfactory, 188 centimeters for the NBA and will prepare to play in the best league in the world. If you think that's the end of the problems, you're sorely mistaken. Yes, Curry made it to the NBA on a fairly well-known team from Golden State, and already there he began to develop as a professional. He showed a solid level of play, really talented. In the first season, he took second place in the race for the award for the best rookie for the championship. In the second season, he gave out percentage of realization from beyond the ARC over 42% on almost 5 attempts, which was a huge rarity in those days. Yes, it was from the early 10th years that the Chiefs slowly, little by little, began to prepare a real basketball revolution. But we came to it more in the second half of this decade. Except that this revolution might not have happened, or someone else might have become his hero. Chef's chronic injuries are the reason why. The Goff has been plagued by them since the beginning of his journey with the Warriors. First of all, his problem ankles were suffering, and doctors made disappointing conclusions. Without proper physical training, Steph's legs simply cannot withstand the game in the NBA. The situation peaked when Curry would play only 26 games in 11-12 season. His trade will be talked about in the fan community not as something unbelievable, but as one of the options. The energetic team from GSW needed a big man, and the management was faced with a choice: trade Steph or the fan favorite, the flamboyant guard of those times, Montella Ellis. Everything was going to trade the former, but Mark Jackson, the team's head coach at the time, forbade the Chief to be traded, and frankly, the Bucks wanted Monta. As a result, Curry stayed, but he didn't want to take it for pure luck. He began to train hard in the gym, gained impressive muscle mass over the years in the NBA, played over 75 games in the regular season, and consistently pulled in the playoffs. Curry created a three-point boom in the NBA, and to this day the league is moving toward developing his offensive three-point style. You may not like it, you may hate Steph for it, but you can argue with the fact the Chief has outplayed his chronic injury history with hard work, which is vastly underrated. His mentality, work ethic, and body work are on the level of LeBron James, something the King himself has said several times in interviews. So how can we not talk about 2022? At 21-22 in the regular season, Curry wasn't taken seriously until the end, despite his merits. The two-time MVP, three-time NBA champion, and the best sharpshooter in history remained a slugger who can do nothing but that naturally. In the opinion of haters, famous analyst expert predicted Warriors collapse and 0 championship titles in the next 5 years before the start of that very season. MVP, Della Siglo, Durant's shadow, overrated? Total disrespect, to which the Chiefs will respond with the best season of his career from all cumulative perspectives, both game and emotional. He would produce a great playoff performance, one of the best individual finals in history against the mighty Boston. He will clinch his 4th ring in a 1-2 series, tie LeBron, and prove that it's not him who can win without Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant without him. I'll just remind you that Curry won his last title at 34. It's hard to imagine in your head that a relatively short, once frail and injury-prone young man who might not have made it to the NBA, who might not have essentially made it, who might not have opened up because of his injuries, ended up being one of the league's premier longevity players, maintaining his superstar level not just to that championship, but to this day, in which Chiefs is now 36 years old. Great mentality, true professionalism, without which the bright speck of talent would be extinguished as in desiccated. When speculating about Steph Curry's greatness, yes, I personally like a different style of basketball player. My idols are different kind of players, but the fact that Curry is among the best and actually stands on equal footing with them, I emphasize equal, with the objective weaknesses relative to these competitors is worthy of our respect. There is no need to downplay his merits. That's my advice to you. To summarize, I want to end by saying that when comparing Steph to players of greater ability, bigger, perhaps more talented, in some ways even spectacular, it's worth considering the level of difficulty these guys face initially. They are not on a level playing field. That's why we adore Allen Iverson, who has given young guys hope for the future. Because of guys like him, not very athletic, not very tall players, regular everyday guys can believe in themselves. Steph, on the other hand, has reached all the heights a basketball player can reach in the NBA and is clearly not worth forgetting. So there you go! Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I hope I was able to convey some interesting information and clearly convey my point of view. Thank you so much for supporting the project. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and I'll see you guys in the next video. Play basketball and love basketball!